all your school rugby, all in one place. This is Next Gen 15.
Hello and welcome to Next Gen 15. Today we're going to take a look at the top 10 schools in England this year. If you're new to Next Gen 15, then please make sure you hit the subscribe button and click on the notification bell to be notified whenever we release a new video. Let's get into it with the top 10 schools in England this year. Before we get into the top 10, we'll take a look at just a few of the schools that just miss out. Warwick, who reached another Schools Cup final and a dramatic finish to their semi-final. Very unlucky to miss out. Just a few of the results early in the season probably just counting against them. Rugby School, who reached the Champions Trophy final, a team built around an incredible pack. Very, very close to getting into the top 10. Possibly a few dodgy results around the preparation for that, just costing them a place as they rested players. RGS Newcastle were absolutely fantastic again. Their season just tailed off a bit due to a big injury crisis towards Christmas time, but they beat one of the schools in our top 10 twice by narrow margins, which really shows the quality of them. And if they'd been able to go a bit further, they'd have been certainly in the top 10. Dean Close were absolutely fantastic this year. A number of England internationals. Probably their only slight weakness was a slightly shallower fixture list than some schools had, which perhaps just cost them, but they were fantastic. Similar story with Bristol Grammar School. Absolutely outstanding season. Only 2 defeats to Epson College and Clifton College, who we're going to hear more about later. They were an excellent school this year. Similar story with Sherborne, who they reached the Schools Cup semi-final. Lost out narrowly to WIC Gift, but WIC Gift were one of only 3 defeats this year, Millfield and Clifton College being the other 2. Again, all schools we're going to hear about later. And Stamford as well, very unlucky to miss out. Only 2 defeats, Oakham and Rugby. They beat one of the schools in our top 10. They're an excellent team. So number 10 on our list of the top 10 English schools in 2019-20 season is Barnard Castle. An agonising choice for us to decide these sort of 8, 9, 10 positions in the top 10, but Barnard Castle certainly deserved their place after one of their strongest seasons for well over a decade. They only lost twice all season, RGS Newcastle defeating them both times in incredibly tight games, and fantastic Sevens season culminating in the North of England Sevens triumph. Really unfortunate for them that the season got cut short because there were some high expectations and a tough group at the Rosslyn Park Sevens from them. At number 9 we have Bromsgrove School. Another really tough call. Bromsgrove lost a few games, Clifton, Warwick and Stamford, but all in really tight games. They lost out to Millfield, who are an outstanding side, but the Warwick results actually are what really bring them to our attention. They played them 3 times this year, winning twice. They lost in the cup game against Warwick, which was probably the most high profile of the lot, but actually 2 wins from 3 against the same opponent. Fantastic. And Bromsgrove, really an outstanding team. Their centre combination particularly was excellent, with Seb Atkinson was supposed to go and captain the England under-18 side were it not for the season getting cut short. It's a really excellent team who are perhaps a little underrated this year. At number 8, we have a team that I think is perhaps one of the most underrated teams of the season, actually, in WIC Gift. They reached back-to-back Schools Cup finals and were probably favourites heading into that final before it got cancelled. The people slept on their season slightly because they lost against the big 3, so to speak, in Sedber, Wellington and Millfield. But if you look at their performances in those games, they were excellent. If you look at their performances across the whole season, they were on another level to a huge number of schools, and they could really, with a few results going the other way against those big 3 schools we mentioned, they could have been a top 3 school quite easily. And had they had the opportunity to go and play that Schools Cup final, they may even have been anyway. An outstanding team, very much slept on. At 7, we have Epson College. Only lost twice all season to Cranley and Wellington College, who of course both went on to achieve great things and bring home trophies over the course of the season. Reached the semi-finals of the Champions Trophy, which was where they had that Wellington College defeat, and one of the top games of the season. I was lucky enough to be able to be commentating on that, and it was an atmosphere and an intensity the likes of which is very rarely seen at schoolboy level. They also had a superb Sevens season, ultimately winning what was to prove to be the biggest Sevens tournament of the year this year in the Surrey Sevens. Where they were just excellent throughout that. Finished third in the Daily Mail Trophy table as well. Again, another team that probably didn't quite get the recognition that they maybe deserved, due to the fact that in those two particularly high profile games they didn't quite come on the right side of the result. But nonetheless, an outstanding team with some fantastic players and excellent results throughout the year. At 6, perhaps controversially, we have Milton School. Obviously one of the most famous names in global schoolboy rugby. They had quite a slow start to the season, struggled for results, weren't playing at their best, but as the season progressed and grew, so did they, to the point where by the end of the season they were without doubt one of the top 3 or 4 teams in the entire country. Their final game of the season, they defeated Sedber, denying Sedber the chance to win the Daily Mail Trophy, after Sedber themselves had only a few days prior beaten Wellington College. It was a performance that frankly is almost the entire reason that they get into the top 10 in this position, because it showed what a brilliant team they actually are. The quality of their players is always known, but they just for some reason struggled early on to get it together. But by the end of the season they were close to an unstoppable force. I was so impressed with them by the end. At 5 we have Kirkham Grammar School, another fantastic team who in many ways have been slept on a little this season. Their only defeat in the entire year came in the final of the St Joseph's Festival against Wellington College in what was one of Wellington's toughest tests of the entire season. It was their first appearance at the St Joseph's Festival as well, so under that level of pressure, with people expecting them to be one of the top sides in the tournament, they really delivered. The only thing keeping them probably out of that top 4 placings is a slightly weaker fixture list than normal this year. They didn't play Sedber, for instance, but it's hard to argue with an undefeated normal season and the only defeat coming in a shortened format of the game at the St Joseph's Festival against Wellington College. There's very little that you can criticise about this Kirkham Grammar side this year. They've been absolutely fantastic, as they have been for close enough to a decade now. At 4 we have Cranley, an unbeaten season, Daily Mail Trophy champions. We're getting to the realms of teams now where there's very little to choose between them, and Cranley was certainly absolutely fantastic. Probably the only thing that holds them back from a place in the top 3 is that their fixture list was a slightly weaker one than we've seen in other seasons. But they still certainly played some outstanding teams, notably Epson College, and they beat them in a cracking game. But Daily Mail Trophy champions, unbeaten season, you can't take anything away from Cranley. They were absolutely fantastic. They've been absolutely fantastic for a number of years now, and I'm dead excited to see what they can do next year when we get up and running. Coming in at number 3 we have Clifton College. A quite outstanding season from Clifton. Unbelievably impressed with them throughout the year. They were only defeated once, and that was by Wellington College in one of the games of the season. It was talked about for weeks afterwards by anyone that had been there about what an outstanding game that had been. Among the teams they beat were Millfield and Bromsgrove, who are obviously both in our top 10 as well. But the thing with Clifton this year was just the sheer quality of their play. A really powerful and dominant forward pack, an exciting back line, and you only have to go and look at the number of players that have picked up contracts with senior rugby teams this year to understand the sheer quality that they have. They were an outstanding team. I'm expecting big things of them again in the future. They've got a big tie-in with Bristol Bears Rugby Club now. I can see them being a real force for the next few years, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them maintaining a real sort of top 3, top 4 presence over the course of the next sort of 4 to 5 years in English schools rugby. Just a fantastic setup at the moment, and a brilliant 2019-20 season, deservedly into 3rd place. In 2nd place is Sedber School. They came into the 2019-20 season under huge pressure because of the sheer quality of performances over the course of the previous 2 years that had seen them seal back-to-back Rosslyn Park Sevens titles, back-to-back Daily Mail Trophy titles, back-to-back Sedber 10 titles. Just so much pressure for some of these young men coming into the season, knowing that was something that they had to follow, wanted to follow, and knowing that they had the quality to be able to do so. and they utterly delivered. They were brilliant throughout the year. The only defeat they had was that game at the end of the season to Millfield in an absolute epic contest. It denied them the chance of that Daily Mail Trophy title to add to the ones from the years previously, and it's probably for that reason that they just miss out on top spot, because there is no silverware to show for their efforts. That said, there are opportunities for silverware to come until the coronavirus got in the way. They were brilliant in defeat of Wellington College in November. Again, a game I was lucky enough to be commentating on, and it was a game of supreme intensity. You had to be there to be able to feel just the atmosphere and the intensity of the entire thing. And Sedber were outstanding in that game, as they were against Blackrock College, one of the most storied teams from Ireland. Another really tight game. Sedber were losing with a few minutes to go and came back with just some wonderful rugby to complete the victory. We're talking about a team that was literally one game away from top spot on this list. Just one of the great dynasties in, not just in school sport to be honest, but in global rugby. Sedber is a name that everyone knows. It's a name that has been outstanding, particularly in the last 3 to 4 years. I can't speak highly enough of them. And in first place, the top English school of the 2019-2020 season is, of course, as you'll all know by now, Wellington College. A season of stunning achievement from the Berkshire School. St Joseph's Festival title at the first attempt in about 15 years. Back-to-back Champions Trophy titles. They became, in doing so, the first school in schools rugby history to have at some point won every single honour that there is available in the school game. They were a true phenomenon this year. Their only defeat came to Sedber in that epic contest that we mentioned in passing through Sedber's second placing. It was a tough defeat for them, but they showed just what a quality side they are by bouncing back from that to win the Champions Trophy in utterly dominant style against a rugby school team that everyone had huge expectations of, and Wellington just showed all of their quality to be able to really get on the scoreboard early and then just go on and dominate. It was a performance of champions, and it's a champion team, and there's something very special about this group. We had the privilege of writing a piece for them privately, talking about their achievements. This is a group that won the Schools Cup as under 15s as well, and watching their rise from that age group to the top has been a bit of a privilege, because watching them you realise you're watching something special. You realise you're watching something that really is quite unprecedented in schoolboy rugby terms. It's hard to appreciate just how difficult doing what they have done is, particularly in an environment now where so much importance is placed on development of players and on making sure players have appropriate rest and on protecting the individual, all hugely important things. But what it does do as well is it makes those Saturday, Wednesday build up of fixtures a really tough thing to manage. And you have to have a huge amount of depth, but you have to have a huge amount of buy-in as well. And that's what this group did. They all bought in fantastically to what was expected of them, to what they wanted to achieve, and they went out and achieved it in spectacular fashion. And there are players in that squad that are going to become huge household names in the years to come. Most notably, of course, the captain Finn Baxter at prop, who's signed with Harlequins for the coming season, and there are huge expectations of him. And I don't think it's too much to say that you can expect that he'll rise to that. He's been under pressure his entire career and has stepped up. But it's not just him. There are guys like Cassius Cleves, Lucas Brooks, Marcus Rhodes throughout the team, Monty Bradbury. It just the list of exciting names just goes on and on and on. And it was just an utter privilege to watch them play. Their game against Sedber, while it happened to end in defeat for them, was just a sign of of how good this top two were this year. They were on a different level throughout most of the year. At times, others came in and touched it. Clifton College got close. Millfield towards the end of the year came in very close as well. But the reality is that these two were just playing on a level that, frankly, would have made anything outside of the professional ranks pale into insignificance compared to. They were two brilliant teams, and Wellington College deservedly take top place in our top 10 English schools 2019-20 season after winning 2 trophies, back-to-back Champions Trophy wins, St Joseph's Festival title. A true honour to watch them play in an outstanding school.
If you appreciated this video, please don't forget to smash that like button, and if you have not yet, get with the program and click that subscribe button as well as bell notification. While you're here, if you're interested in more quality content, why not head over to our website www.nextgen15.com. That's www.nextgenxv.com. Cheers.